everybody! The GMG Pregame Show is about to start. Grab your favorite beverage of choice. Sit down. Get ready to communicate with us. And let's go! GMG's pregame show is about to start. That's what the countdown timer is for. Are you ready? The guys are ready to break down the game. Let's go, Vikings! Let's go! That means it's time. Skull. Everybody, it's Dave here with Good Morning Gjallarhorn, the pregame show. As we're about to start, we are looking forward to the Vikings at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But do they play in the Bay? Of course not. They play at Raymond James Stadium. Alongside, we have folks already joining us, but before that, I want to introduce my compadres in crime. First, to the viewer's right, the one, the only, the base ripper, Drew Bunting. How you doing, Drewster?
Good. How you doing, David? Skull to you, and skull to the big win we're going to get this weekend.
Oh, I hope from your lips to God's ears. Let's do
it. I am a little sad, though.
And down in the bottom right corner for the viewer, we have from the frozen north, the drone master, Rhino, king of the jungle. How you doing, Rhino?
Oh, we're doing. It's another week, another must-win game for the team here. So ready to see what happens.
Sweet. And just to let you know, it's working.
Sweet.
And
just took a reboot.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Absolutely.
Now we're off.
Sorry.
Now we're underway.
Sorry, 12.
Now we're
done.
Had to get my computer the little blue pill. That's all we had to worry about.
All right.
Now we're ready to go.
And
Now
the
we're
last,
officially started.
and certainly not least, below me, the legend, the one and only man of big brass balls, Ted Glover.
How you doing, boys?
Doing good.
Drew, if I was you, I'd be sad as well. If I were a Michigan fan, and if I was any better, I'd be against the law. Let's light this candle. Let's go.
We already have a skull from Clifford. And let's move this up here. Our friend Ted is already coming in.
Take off the purple lettering. We can't read it.
Yeah, and I'm
right
wondering
now.
where that's coming from. I got to change that.
That's hideous and horrible.
Hey, quit the whining.
No, I just want the lettering changed. What's it called? The font? Is that what you call it? The font?
Well, there's the font, but
Is that the
I've
correct
got
Harbaugh was
Font?
probably in charge of the lettering color of this show.
yeah, he probably was.
Oh.
All right, let's tie it
No,
with
'cause if
Ted
he was in
again.
charge-
Here
he
we
was in
go
charge-
in
There we
white.
go.
There you go.
Much better.
And Ted
Harbaugh was in charge of it. The shit wouldn't even work.
and the delightful and wonderful Mary Fisk saying this is going to be
Mary
a sweet
Fisk! I
win.
see
Mary's in the house. Woohoo!
Not
What
only
up,
Mary,
Mary?
but Carla is.
And Carla.
Carla!
She's
Carla,
wanting a
Mary, and Ted
creamsicle.
Bertrand. And Ted, who I've never met, but that guy cracks me up. We got the
We got the
the
crew.
All-Star
Three Musketeers, man.
The gang is all here.
hello, folks.
Now,
Mary.
with that, we need to start this show with what we think is going to happen this week against Tampa Bay. What do you see coming, Rhino?
I mean, it's Zoom. You know, it's going to be
Sorry.
it's going to be tough. I mean, you know, Tampa Bay is number one against the run, and that's our bread and butter. So I mean, it's going to fall on the passing game to get us in this game. We mean, you know, get out and start fast. If we got to play from behind against these guys, we're in big trouble. But if we can get out in front on them, Tampa Bay will quit. I mean, they have done that in a couple of games this year where they get down early, and then it's, you know, so it's going to all depend on how we start.
All right, you talk about number one against the run. Let's go to Drew's stats. Drew, what do you have to say about these statistics?
I'd say this is the first time I've seen them, but I'm glad I made them. I know they're number one against the rush, but that, you know, they're also facing. I was going to make this really cool list of all the running backs they faced all season, and I got too busy today and I couldn't compile that list, go backtrack all the running backs that they faced that were any good. I just don't know if they faced anybody like Cook, and that's the reason I wanted to do it. So I failed, gentlemen. I wanted to have that information ready, and I didn't, because that would have been cool to at least see the other backs that they've played all season to see if they've played anybody with the caliber of Dalvin Cook.
So basically, you harbought it today, huh?
I did Harbaugh. But just like Harbaugh, and I'm giving you a lame reason of why it didn't get done. Thanks, Rhino. So I don't know who they faced all season. I will say this. I've seen Tampa Bay look really good this season in games. I watched one game where they got beat by like 40. They got beat bad by somebody. I can't remember who it was, but I watched.
Was it Kansas
The
City?
Saints beat the crap out of them.
Or the Saints?
Yeah, Kansas City whooped the snot out of them. The Saints did too.
Ted got it. It was that Saints game. They were
If you-
outplayed from the get, just completely humiliated and dismantled by the Saints, dude.
If you look at
So-
they're first against the rush, but they're 22nd against the pass.
I do see that.
And that is the big issue. That's where they've
What's
been
our
beat.
pass offense, though? We're like middle of the road, though, right?
Now, pass offense, aren't we top 10 in there, like 6th or 7th?
No, let me bring it back up. That's why I have it.
Yeah, leave that
Pass
up there for a
offense,
second.
we are looking at the Vikings.
We are 6th.
16th.
16th in pass offense. We're 6th
Passing
in
yard-
rushing.
Yeah, in passing yards per game, we're sixth.
So you see these little pluses and minuses. That's how they match up against the opposing defense. So we shall see. And then the quarterbacks, believe it or not, are relatively equal.
Well, not really. One has a few more rings than the other.
Just stop it.
Yeah,
Statistics
One has a few more rings than the other guy.
Well, I agree, but statistics.
Stop it.
But one big thing with Tom Brady this year,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's something he's never had a problem with in the past. But if you can pressure him, he's good. He is throwing interceptions. He's not the same Tom Brady in the pocket that he was for all those years in New England. He will make mistakes this year. I've watched a few Tampa Bay games, and I mean, he's throwing bad passes that turn into interceptions and stuff that he has never done before.
Right, but it's Tom Brady's always been susceptible. The game plan to beat him is pressure early and often. Now, if you don't pressure him, he dissects you like that, pickled pig we did back in 9th grade. But anyways,
What?
we'll see. Did you guys take biology?
Yes.
We did frogs.
You did frogs?
I dated your
We
mom.
didn't do a pig.
Yes.
We did frogs.
Ted, speaking of my mom,
Smitty.
what do you think about this football game?
Smitty and Miss Stefano.
So,
God rest her soul.
here's the thing. Oh, sorry, man. My bad. This is terrible. I feel terrible now. Here's the thing, boys. You talked about, Brady gets off his game if you pressure him. And you're right. What's the one thing the Vikings defense – well, there's a myriad of things the Vikings defense can't do this year, but what's right at the top of the list?
Pressuring the quarterback.
Thank you. So if the Vikings are gonna get to Tom Brady, they're not gonna do it with a 4-man front because they haven't been able to do it all year. Bucs have a pretty good offensive line, so the Vikings are gonna have to blitz and bring a lot of pressure by other than a typical standard 4-man rush. You blitz Tom Brady, and you are opening yourself up to a lot of potential damage. So,
especially when we're not going to have Kendricks patrol in the middle.
Yeah, Kendricks isn't playing.
Ooh, we haven't got to that yet, but yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, didn't want to step in your touchdown call, Dave, but it's a thing.
We'll hold off on the injury,
On the injury report. Yeah.
But so I look at this game and I kind of there's one of my favorite movies. I talked about this earlier in the week. One of my favorite movies with you guys is Patton, and there's a scene in Patton,
my favorite,
with George C. Scott, and it's like right when the Third Army is driving to the German border, and it looks like the war's going to be over pretty quick, and Patton says, he's like, look, there's absolutely no reason to assume the Germans are mounting a major offensive. The weather is awful, the supplies are low, and the German army hasn't mounted a winter offensive since Frederick the Great. Therefore, I believe that's exactly what they're going to do. This is one of those games that the Vikings have no business winning. 1 or 2 games a year, the Vikings go into a game they have absolutely no business winning, and they end up winning it. This is that game. I don't know why. I don't know how. Call it whatever, but this is a game the Vikings are going to walk out with a win. I feel it. Sure as I'm sitting here talking to you guys, that the Vikes are going to win this game, and I don't know how it's going to be because, well, yeah, I'm drunk. Yeah, probably. Well, I'm not drunk, but I've been drinking. But it just feels like this is a game that if the Vikings can get an early lead or at least play toe-to-toe with Tampa, and I think they can. I really do. I think offensively the Vikings match up pretty well with Tampa Bay's defense. Like Drew said, I don't think they've seen a running back as good as Dalvin Cook. I'm kind of concerned about who the tight end's going to be, but you still got Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, and I just really think the Vikings are going to make a lot of money on offense this week.
Unleash secret weapon Chad Beebe.
Let's bring that to our injury report.
Chad
since we
Beebe
brought
might
it
end
up.
up having a bigger role in this game than you think.
Very well could.
Today's injury
He's hurt
report.
again.
Look
Hurt
down
again.
there
Look
at
at
the
that.
very bottom in a DNP, even though it says not injury
Ted.
related.
Fabergé egg.
Now, we already have out, as was let slip, Eric Kendricks. Kyle Rudolph looks very doubtful. Alexander Madison is still out recovering from his appendectomy. And questionable, but did practice limited, is Irv Smith Jr. Now, Ted, you were talking about tight ends. I do know at the beginning of the week, C.J. Ham and his backup. Oh, and I couldn't even tell you who his backup is, but there's C.J. Ham. We're practicing with the tight ends group being Conklin, singular, at the beginning of the week.
Tyler Conklin coming out
Blocking.
game, boys. Going for
There you
120
go.
and 2 scores.
So
That'd be great.
I don't know. This game feels like on paper it's one that Minnesota really shouldn't win. I mean,
I
it's
agree with that.
they're 6-6. They're I believe
and
they
then
are
Tampa
the last
7-5.
spot of the playoffs seating right now.
Yes,
They are.
And Tampa's one ahead of us at 7-5.
And so, you know, the pressure's on against a Hall of Fame quarterback, a really good coach in Bruce Arians, and a pretty good football team that's played, I would argue, probably a tougher schedule than the Vikings have played. I don't know. I just have a weird feeling that the Vikings are going to play a very good football game, and then Sunday night into next week we're going to go, oh, all the Vikings have it figured out. We're all going Super Bowl, blah blah blah, and I don't know.
And it will lay it against the Bears next week.
We'll see what happens.
I love the optimism by Smitty, Ted Glover. I love it. I'm going to give you my points of concern, and then you can tell me if I'm going Harbaugh or I'm making sense. Two areas that concern me. One is not having Eric Kendricks for a myriad of reasons. I mean, that's one guy in this entire team we can't lose. In offense or defense, it's that guy. And you're throwing Todd Davis in there. Here you go. Figure it out.
Coach him up, Zen. Coach him up.
You know what I'm worried about, Ted Glover? I'm worried about Levante David and Devin White. I'm worried about those two guys. They are athletic and they are fast and they cause problems and we don't match up against guys those guys are as top of the line linebacker wise as I've seen in the league. They probably have the best linebackers in the league.
That's true. And so if the Vikings run east-west, if they try and get Cook out to the edge and they do a bunch of gimmicky end-around garbage, I think they're going to have a long day. I think where the Vikings match up very well is between the tackles. And okay. Yeah, David is still good between the tackles. He's a great linebacker. I think you're 100% on when you say they're the best linebacking core. But the Vikings line has been pretty doggone respectable the last 5 or 6 weeks, I would argue. I mean, even against
except last week. We gave up 4 sacks against a team that had 11 on the season. But.
All right, yeah, I mean, okay, fair enough. But I think if the Vikings try and keep Cook between the tackles and just get 4 or 5 yards, which I think he's perfectly capable of doing, they're going to be set up for success. We'll see if they do that. I mean, I easier said than done. I get it, but I think they absolutely can do that against Tampa Bay. We'll see.
I want to throw a quick question out there. A quick question to all three of you, and you can discuss it. If the Vikings play like they have against Dallas, Carolina, and the Jags, I really don't think they got much of a shot.
No, we're going to get we're going to get blown right out of the stadium.
Blocked punts and fumbled punts. I mean, Ted, that's mainly what kind of Viking team are we going to see this weekend?
Oh, I agree. I mean, and that's the perpetual question this year. Which Vikings team shows up? If it's the one in this latest 3-game homestand where they barely beat 3 of the worst teams, well, they barely beat 2 of the worst teams in the NFL and lost kind of handily to the third. Yeah, they're going to get beat by 2 or 3 scores easily. But they've shown a propensity to play very good football for a periods of time. I think they will. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I just have a weird feeling about this game. I don't know why.
They've also
I like
shown
that gut feeling you got, Ted Glover.
They also show a propensity when the game is tough. Mike Zimmer tends to plan more. At least it looks like that, and they come out ready for it. Versus when it's a Nancy team they're playing. No offense to Nancy's out there. They tend to come out flat. They're also on the road, which they've done better at this season than they have in previous seasons. And definitely better than they've done at home.
Hold on, Dave. Hold on, Dave. Mr. President of the Mike Zimmer fan club. You just said Mike Zimmer works harder against good football teams to plan and prepare for.
It seems that way, yes.
No proof. It's just your observation.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that statement.
Okay. All right. So if he only kind of if he tries really hard against the good teams, but sort of mails it in against the not so good teams, how the hell can you still defend him?
Right.
Because he's a decent coach.
Because he's a decent coach.
This is a serious question because if he's not putting the same effort of preparation into every single game, why is he coaching in the National Football League? Now, I understand it's your speculation that he's doing that, and I agree that the team comes out flat against teams we think they should take care of business against early. I agree with you on that one. So I would argue that mindset and mentality also comes from the coach who sets the tone for the team. So you have the floor, David. Go ahead. Convince me why Mike Zimmer's the guy now.
I want to hear this too. Go ahead.
Tell us a story, Dave.
Just because I think he does decent against decent teams, with the exception of.
That's it.
I don't know. I wish it was better all the time. I wish he could, turn that fucking, take that, what was it? We'd take the starter and we'd fucking and crank up the team to play at top speed every game. But they don't. They have letdowns.
Right.
And
I fucking love this
Dave,
show, dude.
That explanation was like seeing a movie preview on TV that looks fucking awesome. And then you go to the theater and you sit there like, I can't believe I spent $20 going to see this garbage.
But do you understand why I asked you that question, though?
No, I do understand that. And I understand why it's frustrating as hell. And I wish it wasn't the case. But that's my perception. Generally, when we go play better teams, he seems to have game plan better, and the team seems to be more up and more ready to play them than they do when we have the Detroit Lions or the Jaguars or the Panthers coming to Minnesota, and they seem flat. Now,
go ahead.
Is that... I would love to know why that is the case. And it's group psychology. It's not just individual psychology. It's group psychology as to why that is the case. Should he be better motivator in that case? Yes. There's a lot of things Zimmer should do better. But there's time management's another one. But do I still think he's a good coach? Absolutely.
I mean, I 100% agree with you that I think the Vikings either play up or play down to the level of their competition, which is why I actually feel weirdly good about this game on Sunday. But again, and this just kind of goes back to my whole beef with Zimmer and the mentality of this football team that Drew has said, look, they're soft. And I I don't think they're soft.
Oh, he
against
doesn't
the
say
team. I think they
soft.
play
He
solid.
says scared. Is what he
Yeah.
says. And I don't see
They
scared.
play-
I see.
They play tentative a lot of the times. It's tentative. It's conservative. It's not. You're not.
Tentative,
They're not
that's
going
good.
out there. They're not going out there to just rip the will right out of the hearts of their opponent in the first quarter. They're just like, no, we're going to let them hang around for 3 quarters. Think things are, keep it close so we can do this, and everything else, and then we'll really try in the fourth quarter, and then we'll see if we can win this game.
No, they need to play like they're 2 scores behind all the time.
That's like I've been saying for a long
get
time.
too
If we're up by 1 score, we should be trying to be up by 2 scores. If we're up by 2, we should try to be up by 3.
No, I agree.
I think we should look at that last comment Carla made. I think she may be onto something. She said something about Zimmer gets some kind of weird high by being in close games. Right there, it is.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you deny?
I don't argue that. I mean,
I'm not calling her
that's the
crazy.
thing.
I'm not calling her crazy.
No,
That
She's right.
Ted, I have no fear of beer.
Because Zimmer's whole thing is let the offense do just enough to put us in a position to win, and then his defense is supposed to be the one that rides in on the white horse with the sword drawn.
Right. And gets the turnover late and seals the game.
Right. It's – oh, go ahead, Ted.
Well, I was going to say, and oftentimes that's good enough to beat bad teams, but if you play that way against really good teams, this playing not to lose, you end up losing. I mean, you just do. You can't think that way playing against a guy like Russell Wilson, as we saw earlier in the year, or against a guy like Tom Brady. I mean, you do that to a Tom Brady quarterback team with, even though Mike Evans is probably not going to play, they still have great talent on offense besides Tom Brady. You do that against that team, and you're probably going to come out on the short end of the stick. And that's my whole beef with that whole approach to playing and coaching philosophy. I mean, don't let it be close enough to be decided by a really good quarterback in the last 2 minutes of the game, and you won't have these problems.
Most of the time, you're going to have some games that are going to be close.
Yeah.
But you don't want to make a habit of it.
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with laying 35 points on a team in the first half, being up 35-7 or 35-10 or whatever it is, and then, keep it rolling into the fourth quarter. And then if you're up by 2-3 scores, then you can start backing it down, ball control, all this other stuff. But the whole thing with Zimmer is once we're up by 1 score, that he seems to act like that's good enough. And let's turn it over to the defense.
Well, Jason Brown last night on day 10 of Vlogmas said Zimmer has the propensity of this habit of extending out and prolonging the defeat.
Yeah.
And there's
He's
that
not
perception.
wrong.
He does.
Okay.
Drew.
2 points. First off, if the word propensity comes up on the show again, I'm leaving. Secondly, Carla, I don't think you're crazy. Matter of fact, I think you're one of the most knowledgeable people that talks football with us that's come in this show. And thirdly, we ain't been up 35-7, Rhino, since I had a fucking mullet. All right?
Yeah, last time that happened probably was when Denny Green was coaching. I understand that, but I'm saying there's nothing wrong with doing that.
No.
The pressure is really from both sides. If you look at the media in Tampa this week and the way the buzz around Tampa's lost 3 out of 4. Tampa has lost 3 out of 4. They are kind of reeling and kind of angry. And for the Vikings, let's face it, guys, everybody give me a head nod. We got to win this, or the big P word is out the door. The Vikings have to win this game if they want to have any chance at the
I don't know if I agree with that, but if they win this, they're in.
If they lose this, they're not going anywhere.
We're looking at, there's like 4 teams that are a game behind us, that if we lose and they win, all of a sudden one of them are in the playoffs and we're not. Everybody laughed about how bad the NFC East has been all season, but either the Giants or the Washington whatevers, they're a game behind us. Whoever's not in a division lead, if we drop a game and go down to 7 losses and they win, they're popping in ahead of us. I
Well,
mean, it's
Here it is exactly. If we win, and that's hard to see, I know that. If we
What kind
win,
of nerd bomb is this?
it came from one of the nerd shows. If we
Bible-
win, if we
Bible
beat
Mouse
them,
can't even read that.
Gjallarhorn.
Drew, if we beat them, we are 71% chance of making the playoffs. If we lose,
David.
it drops down to 21%. That is a 50%
And that's
gap.
David, let me tell you this. The Vikings should have to win this game. If you're a playoff team, you got to win games like this. They should
You
have
should.
to win
I
this
agree
game.
with you.
So
I
let's
agree.
see it.
That's what-
Let's see them improve themselves.
These are the kind of teams we're going to play in the playoffs if we get there. We're not going to be playing Jacksonville. We're not going to be playing Carolinas. We're not going to be playing Detroit's. We're going to be playing the Saints, who we still have to play. We're going to be playing the Tampa Bays. We're going to be playing that team from Wisconsin. We're going to be playing Seattle again, the Rams, all of those teams. We have the whole thing about king of the dipshit teams. The dipshit teams don't make the playoffs. So if we get there, we have to prove this week that we can beat a good team, or we got no business even going to the playoffs.
Well, there's been progress over the last weeks, but as people have said, that's progress against, look at the strength of the opponent against relatively bad teams. This will be the first test against a good team.
Well, I mean, they handled Green Bay in Lambeau a few weeks back. That was
weather aided, yes.
right during this
weather
5 or
rated,
6.
but it's still a good team. I mean, they're 9-3. I mean,
Oh yeah, they're going to win the division, unless
Right.
now mathematically they could lose the division, but that would be amazing.
If Rodgers pulls something and is out for the next 4 weeks, they could lose out, and if we won out, we could still win it.
We used to get it, yeah. But Drew was talking about. I don't remember what Drew was talking about that I wanted to hit up. Oh, the conflict.
Hey, thanks for listening to my comments.
The conflict about Tampa losing 3 out of 4. There has been. I've been listening to the opposition's podcast. They have an issue with Arians is coaching, and when Arians took over the job, he said, "I'm not calling plays." Right? Tom Brady came in from a different system. Leftwich is the offensive coordinator who's calling plays. Leftwich is calling for 5 and 7 drops, where it's Tom Brady goes, "I just want to go back 3 and release," right? And Tom Brady could do any of it. He's obviously the GOAT. But there's a little bit of friction that's happened in the last 4 weeks there in Tampa. And people are a little bit upset. And the fans want Tampa to come out and stomp us.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm
go
surprised.
figure.
I'm kind of wish they'd want the Bucs to come out and just kind of roll over.
I know,
Just lay a
That's
freaking
what
egg
I'd
so
want
we
if
can
I
teach
was a
them
Bucs
lesson.
fan.
Right.
But there is an issue between Arians, Leftwich, and Brady. So
Thanks,
we'll
Booger.
see what happens.
Well, I mean, Arians is never shy to. I mean, he'll throw Brady under the bus or call him out during a news conference. And Brady doesn't particularly care for that kind of stuff, because he's Tom Brady. But
Now, they have some good receivers. However, I know Evans was coming in off of
he was limited.
injury.
He was limited today. No, Godwin had the thumb injury.
Oh, Godwin had the thumb. Evans was limited. And you have Antonio Brown, what's left of him.
And also
You got Gronk.
Tyrell Johnson.
What's the deal with Gronk?
Or not
Is he going to
Tyrell
play?
Johnson, but- yeah, Gronk's playing.
As far as I know, I can bring up the Buccaneers' final injury report. There's not a whole lot of people on it. The only one that's doubtful is Jamel Dean, who is a corner. Now, that is significant.
I don't know. There's some big names on there, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that shit.
Yeah, but that are already listed in the...
Well, but JPP and Ndamukong Suh, neither one of them practiced today.
Right.
I mean, Ndamukong Suh is non-injury related, so I don't know what that's all about. But
who knows?
the thing for Tampa with the Vikings linebackers as decimated as they are with injury, I wouldn't be surprised to have see Brady and Gronkowski hook up like they did back in their heyday
Yeah.
in New England.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the key matchup. Mike Evans is Mike Evans, and Brady is Brady, and all their other offensive weapons are what they are. They're good. I'm not saying they aren't. But Rob Gronkowski has had a pretty quiet year after being away from football for, 2 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just, if anybody's going to kind of come out of the blue and have a big game, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's going to be Rob Gronkowski, because he just he matches up extremely well against what's left of the Vikings linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it may get to a point where we're going to have to, put Ant Harris or Harrison Smith on him, because, I mean, depends on, if they start getting stuff across the middle on Davis or Eric Wilson or whoever the hell, Troy Dye or whoever's playing linebacker. But
with the way Ant Harris has played this year, that's still a big advantage for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but Ant's been doing a lot of covering for the corners. That's why he's not as – that's not –
No,
there's a reason he's not
He's been terrible
putting
this
up
year.
the stats that he did last year.
Stop it. Just stop it. He's terrible. He got paid and he sucks this year.
They're playing too high on the safeties. Last year they didn't have to. There's a difference. Do I think he's playing as well as he did last year or the year before? No. But he's not playing horribly.
To an extent, you're right. But I mean, he's not covering for the corners. I mean, he's only covering for the corners on really deep routes. If you're playing a high two cover, a high cover two, he's just playing deep coverage, stopping the stuff from getting past him.
And that's what he's been asked to do. And last game was the first game that we did not play cover two the whole game. They put Dantzler in a cover three man on for the first time. He did outstanding.
He played a good game.
But they disguised it as a cover two, which is interesting what's going to happen this week. In the way
something I saw today, I think it was Football Outsiders, and here again, this is stat nerd stuff, take it for what it's worth. But since the bye week, according to what their data showed, Dantzler's the 6th rated cornerback in the NFL.
Really?
Yeah. Gladney's like 99th, which, I mean, Gladney's been playing relatively well too, but
since the bye week, I have as many interceptions as Anthony Harris.
Well, I mean, last week with Dantzler, that's the first interception our cornerbacks have had in like 12 years.
I mean, come on, man. Statistics are whatever.
I love it.
Whatever.
I love it, dude.
Guys, come on. So what? I don't care. Just beat Tampa Bay.
You grumpy
you're
old
right,
man. You're a grumpy old man, Ted Glover. You grumpy old son of a bitch.
Key to getting pressure on Tom Brady is to come up the middle.
I hear it all the time.
So
true.
This week,
Rhino's right. Middle pressure.
I want to see James Lynch out there fucking playing, because in the little bit that kid's played this year, he's done really well. We got Shamar Stephen, and we've got whoever the hell all else we throw in there, Hercules or Jalen Holmes.
James Lynch.
Wanham's on the outside, but any of these guys that we're throwing in there, we're not getting middle pressure. We need pressure up the middle. And if you can get that on Brady, you can rattle him and you can make him make mistakes and stuff. But that, like you said earlier, Ted, the worst, I mean, that's probably our biggest problem on defense right now is we cannot get pressure on the quarterback, especially pressure up the middle.
Because we're playing rotational players as starters.
Whose fault is that?
I mean, again, yeah, that just kind of goes.
Two of them isn't his fault.
Up the middle, there's only one, Dave. Hunter's on the outside.
Yeah, but I said across the line. It is.
But yes,
up the middle, you have Pierce out, and on the outside, you have Hunter out.
Right.
The rest is Zimmer and Spielman putting the team together.
Right, which there's the problem because we paid too much, and this is a broken record. Beat the dead horse so bad you can't even identify it with fucking dental records anymore. But I mean, we paid a lot of money to a few players, so we're at the point where we can't have, backups and rotational players that are worth a damn.
We do, but they're starting is the problem.
But no, they're not worth a damn. That's the problem, Dave.
Yeah, but they're great as as rotational players. You don't expect starter qualities as your rotational guys.
No, you don't.
We don't have the starter qualities.
We don't even have backup quality. That's the problem, because we haven't been able to afford to have decent backups who can come in and still somebody goes out hurt or whatever, they're still going to get a sack once in a while or everything else, or pressure up the middle.
Well, see, I would call Fetty that, or I'd call, even Shamar backing up nose tackle is okay.
But, Odenabo hasn't had a sack in 4 weeks. I think the last sack he had was when? Green Bay, maybe? Or before the bye? I mean, Yannick Ngakoue still leads his team. Ngakoue still leads his team in sacks, and he hasn't been here for 5 freaking weeks.
And that's another bad
issue. I agree with Dave that you can't have that you play backup players all season long. They're going to get exposed. The reason they rotate in is because they don't play a whole lot, and you don't have a whole lot of as much film on them as you do a starter. So in shorter bursts of playing time, they look pretty good overall,
and they tend to do better.
Yeah, they do. I get that, and I think it was Carla said Pierce opting out killed us. I on the inside it really did.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue that one bit, because if you have him plugging the middle up, it helps a lot in not only the run game but in the pass game too.
But that said, there's guys like DJ Wanham and James Lynch that have flashed and looked really good in very limited playing time, and you would think based on their play during the game they should get more looks.
Time?
And they're not.
We're playing Jaleel Johnson and Jalen Holmes and these other people instead.
But we don't see what happens, unfortunately, in practice, which influences the coach's decisions quite a bit. Andre Patterson is the one that sets his line. I would like to see more of Wanham. Wanham has flashed. Wanham looks like he has promise. Now, it usually takes a defensive end a couple of years to get going. Defensive tackle, I would love to see Lynch because I liked his motor and the very little time we saw him, but we don't see him anymore, and it drives me nuts. But that's
and this is that whole thing about, okay, I get that you need to be able to show us a little something in practice too, but there are players that show up in practice and look like perennial freaking all pros. But when you get them in a game situation, they're completely lost. But you get guys that may not look great in practice, but you put them in a game situation, and they're going to go out there and kick somebody's ass. What happens in a game should be more important than what they do in practice. We're talking practice.
Not a game. Not a game.
Not a game. Not a game.
About practice, man.
Practice.
But that was the case with our fourth-string quarterback that we let go,
Slaughter, yeah.
And yet, during practice, he was couldn't line anybody up, calling wrong plays, everything else, and they didn't trust him.
But
you've got to compete to at least a certain level in practice, or you're not. The coaches won't touch it.
I understand that, but we're also talking quarterback versus most of the rest of the team.
Defensive lineman.
There's a difference there, though, Dave.
Yeah, but coaches got to see it. You've got to make your move in practice to get up to get on the field on game day. Period. That's the way it works.
I get that COVID and injuries and all that have hurt the defensive line. I get it.
Hey, Jerome.
And Dave, I get that you've got to be able to practice well and go to the meetings and all that stuff to warrant playing time. Get all that. But if on the assumption that all the guys, are practicing and going to meetings and all that, and maybe not looking as good in practice as other guys that are getting more playing time, but when they do get in, they look better and they play better. The fact that they're not getting more playing time in the coming weeks is a reflection on the coaching staff. It just is.
Yeah,
Is.
But they may do something well, but is against where their assignment was. We don't know what the call was. And sometimes that happens on the field. I don't know. I agree. Coaches should be able to. Andre Patterson should look at Lynch and go, look at that motor. I need more of that and stick him in there. Look at Wanham and go, I need more of that. Stick him in there. Or at least rotating more with Afede. So they both are fresh and giving it their best shot. Why we don't see that, I don't know. That is a problem that needs resolved, especially going against good teams like we are against the Buccaneers. You've got to solve that and take maximum advantage of what the talent you have is.
And I think the Vikings are not doing that because you have guys that have played well and they're not seeing the field. And
they play well from our version, just like Slaughter did. But when they say Slaughter didn't run the play right,
there's a difference between, the week 3 of the preseason and week 4 or 5 of the regular season. I mean, Jaleel Johnson and Shamar Stephen have not got it done at all this year. At all.
No.
Believe it or not, I didn't make a slide of it, but Stephen has been decent this season as a nose tackle.
Decent.
Been what?
Decent.
Look up decent in the dictionary.
PFF grades, he's decent.
Oh, now we're going PFF grades on def. I can see PFF grades on offensive line, but PFF grades on defense, no. The only
I don't see him.
I test.
I don't see him making tackles. I don't see him putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, but he's a nose tackle. If he takes up 2 blockers in the middle, he's done his job.
Yeah, but when the guy next to him is not getting pressure, then if the
then you got that issue
that's
there,
the problem, which is what we have right now. Okay, Stefan might be taking up your 2 guys up there, but Jaleel Johnson's not getting home. Jalen Holmes is not getting home, or X-Files or whoever the hell we got in there at 3-tech. I mean, we don't have a 3-tech right now because
no.
And maybe we're spoiled a little bit because, you look back over the years, we had Kevin Williams, we had John Randall, we had Keith Millard, we had all these guys that were
even Richardson.
Sheldon Richardson for a year even was pretty good.
Was good.
We've had a history of having all pro / Hall of Fame caliber 3-techs, and we don't have that now. We don't have a guy that's going to get called on the 5th alternate when nobody wants to play in the damn virtual Pro Bowl this year at 3-tech.
So Dave, let's say Shamar Stephen is doing his job this year. Let's just go with your premise. And okay, fine.
No, I'm saying he's being decent. He's not doing his job. I'd rather have Pierce.
But if he's taking up 2 guys on the line, he's doing his job, which allows other guys to make the tackle and fill the gap. And I totally get that. Okay, so let's say he's filling that role like he should. Then I think we would all agree Jaleel Johnson is not.
Oh yeah,
no, he's not.
I agree.
So,
like I said, they've got nothing but backups playing on the defensive line.
So with James Lynch as his backup, why is James Lynch not playing more? That's see, and this kind of just goes
and
back
I'm
to
saying
my whole.
We don't see what happens during the week.
But
I wish we did. I would like to see it.
So what they do on Sunday.
We see.
James Lynch has played one Sunday.
We see what happens when he's on the field.
Well.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Talk
he played 8
yourself.
snaps against Seattle. He had a sack. He had a couple of pressures, and he played really well. And he's been Brett Jones in the damn thing ever since.
Which I agree with you guys 100%. I would like to see more of him. I don't know why he's not being seen. But obviously there's some sort of reason.
I mean, right now, if it was me, I would go. My starting front four would be DJ Wanham, Shamar Stephen, James Lynch, and Ifedi Odenigbo. That would be my starting front four because I think that is those are the four guys that are not hurt right now that give the Vikings the greatest ability to generate a pass rush on Tom Brady. Those are the four guys that should be seeing the field most of the time on Sunday. And I would bet you $1 to donuts that those are the four guys that don't get the most playing time on the line.
Lynch probably won't even be active.
Well, and Clifford asked how many times he's been active. Not talk amongst yourselves while I look that up real quick.
I bet it's not more than half the games.
I bet it's not more than 3.
Drew, what are your thoughts on this whole
You've been kind of quiet up
defensive line conundrum?
Well, if you want to look at this one game, and that's all you can really look at is the game in front of you, my personal take on Tom Brady is, and I know a lot of people say, and it's true, you got to pressure Brady or the game's over. And I'll go back to what Mary said. Mary's a very knowledgeable football fan, and she wrote the comment, if you don't pressure Brady, it's over. So, and that's pretty much it. But I'll go one step further and say it's not the outside pressure with Tom Brady. He has a lateral movement. He can feel the pressure. He dumps it off to James White, or he dumps it off. He throws it away into the ground. How you beat Tom Brady is getting him off his mark with middle pressure. That's how you beat Tom Brady. Everybody who's done it, the Ravens had his number for a lot of games in a row because they were middle pressuring because that was a strong point of their team. You pressure Tom Brady up the middle, he is just an average quarterback. And that's what this game's going to come down to. And I don't know if the Vikings can generate without a blitz that center pressure. It's the center pressure because he's another baby horse. He runs like he doesn't have much of it. But if you're reliant, you know what, the teams that give him trouble, the outside rush, like I said, sometimes it gets to him, but most of the time he can feel that. You pressure Tom Brady up the middle, he is drastically not as good as he is when he's in a groove. And the Vikings have to figure out how to get that middle pressure. It's all about that middle pressure. So I don't know what, and hopefully Zimmer has something planned to maybe send a couple linebackers up to the A gap, or I expect Harris and Smith to be around the line of scrimmage all day. Because
I think
when shit hits
Smith
the fan,
is going to have to be blitzing.
You have to put Smith is up there on the court. You notice last week he gets that edge. He comes in off the edge and tries to get the running back when the running back's tearing off big yardage. I think it all will be the line of scrimmage with our defensive line against the Buccaneers offense. But if you don't middle pressure Brady, look, he's got the receivers. He's gonna. It's the biggest problem I see in this game is the full tilt boogie meltdown factor. The Vikings, they've made the same mistakes the last 3 weeks that have gotten themselves into trouble.
Turnovers.
And it's continued for the last 3 weeks. So, guys, you tell me, why am I supposed to believe anything's going to be different at the 4th week, that they'll make these mental miscues? Tell me.
Dave, you just mentioned turnover. What's the turnover margin between the? I know the Vikes are still underwater. They're like minus 4 to
+4.
Bucks are +4.
It's quite a big difference right there, Ted.
Yeah, it's going to be a big deal. That's going to be a big deal.
But Brady does have one
more
interception than Cousins does.
They have to play a clean, smart game, and for the last 3 weeks, they've been giving it away. They were giving it away. They were trying to give all these games away the last 3 weeks. So, do you think Vikings could just flip a switch and come out and play a clean game and a smart game and don't have false starts from the 6-inch yard line and don't fumble punts and don't get blocked punts?
They would have
and
a
don't
chance.
Make stupid. But after the last 3 games, they didn't improve from Dallas to Carolina to Jacksonville, Dave. That's why I look at the coaching.
They did on turnovers.
If it's not getting any better, the stupid mental mistakes from week to week, it has to get better. And if you play that way Sunday, you're going to get your tits licked really bad. and not in a good way.
There it is. There it is.
Not in a good way. Believe me, a good tit licking could be good on a Friday night, but it's the bad side of tit licking. This is not going to be good if they do not cut down on the mental mistakes. They do not cut down on just basically playing a clean game. They are going to get run out of the big sombrero. Is it still called that, big sombrero, or not?
No, it's the pirate ship now.
It's the pirate ship.
No, it's got a pirate
Stadium.
ship now.
Raymond James
That's my
Stadium's the new stadium.
You better have
Cordell,
little pressure on Tom Brady.
It looks like 20 years old, but yeah.
And the reason they were able to get away with it 3 of the last 4 weeks is because the opponents were Chicago, Carolina, and Jacksonville, and Chicago, Carolina, and Jacksonville ain't walking through the door.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Now I did look up Lynch's stats. He played in 5 games. We remember him from 1.
See, I don't get it.
Yeah, but now
the
playing is that considered on the defensive line, or is he playing special teams?
I would have to look at each one, but probably
I think a lot of it's been special teams.
He's got a total of 2 tackles this season on defense. 1 in the Seattle game and 1 in the Dallas game.
Man, you could talk about this Michael Pierce thing till the cows come home. He's not here. You got to win with the guys you got.
Yeah. And I think James Lynch is a guy you could use.
I think so too.
You can't. We're at week 14, boys. We can't use Michael Pierce opting out as a fucking excuse anymore.
Has Jaleel Johnson played any better that wouldn't give Blake, Lynch a chance?
James Lynch?
No, I don't think so. I don't think
I don't think so either.
Has Jaleel Johnson had a?
I think he's got a sack or a sack and a half.
I mean, I can't recall the games I've seen, and I turns out I've seen most of them this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. Jaleel Johnson has not stood out.
No, he's just a guy plugging. He's just a guy plugging the space. And he's not even doing a great job of plugging the space. Honestly, he's a guy in the position on the field so that we have 11 guys out there.
What the hell is going to happen, guys, at middle linebacker? Is it Todd Davis? Does he know what he's getting himself into?
You got Troy Dye, Todd Davis, and Eric Wilson.
Todd Davis against Tom Brady. You don't think he's going to work him like a $2 sack whore? I don't know how else he's going to keep on the field. I don't know what he's going to do. That's a huge mismatch. That's a huge mismatch, Glover. It is. Yeah.
I mean,
Hendricks,
you're talking.
Hendricks is one of the smartest guys in the league, man. He knows his football IQ off the charts.
If Kendricks was playing, I think this would be a really good match. Kendricks Gronkowski would be the matchup of the night on when Tampa Bay's offense.
Because Kendricks would cover Gronk.
Yeah.
I feel so much better about it.
You're doggone right he would. He'd do a bang up job at doing it. Okay, Todd Davis, you wanted to play in the NFL. Congratulations, Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski. Go get it done.
I mean, good opportunity for the guy. It's a great opportunity to show his worth. I mean, you can't ask for any more than this. But Kendricks, man, that's like the quarterback of your defense back there. He keeps everybody in line and in order. So they got a big challenge in front of them, and it's going to be interesting to see how the defense plays Sunday. But you know what? This is football. Guys getting hurt. You gotta coach them up. You gotta get it done with what you got, man.
Well, last week when Kendricks was out, they moved Wilson to middle. It's the first time he's played middle.
Oh, did they? I didn't know
he
that.
had the green dot. Yep.
I didn't. I thought he was still. I thought Davis was playing in the middle. Well, maybe. Well, there you go. I mean, Flip doesn't like Wilson.
Still,
Flip Wilson.
Wilson has had a fairly decent year, I think.
Yes.
All things considered.
He's going to get paid next year.
He's made a lot of splash.
But he still hasn't been stellar in pass coverage. That's kind of always been his Achilles heel, if you will.
He's good against the run.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, honestly. I mean, Eric Wilson is kind of a known quantity in pass coverage, and that's average to mediocre. It wouldn't surprise me if the Vikings don't try Todd Davis on Gronkowski or whoever's kind of going over the middle for the first first couple series just to see how he does and just sort of adjust and go from there. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's going to be a challenge. It should be interesting.
It is. It is. Vikings are going to win. I don't know how. I don't know why. They're going to win, though.
With that, let's go to the last words. Rhino?
I mean, I say it every week, but we got to come out fast. We got to, be aggressive off the get-go. If we can get up a couple of scores on these guys, then I think we're going to have a good day because they will start to quit if they get down. But if we come out slow and sluggish like we did against freaking Jacksonville or like Panthers. We have against Panthers, Dallas, all this other stuff, they're going to load us in that damn cannon in that pirate ship and shoot us right out of the freaking stadium. So, I mean, it's up to the coaching staff to get these guys ready. And it's up to the players to go out there and I've said this multiple times too, to go out there, play with some goddamn pride, start fast, get fired up, put the pedal to the metal, boot on the throat, and let's go out and beat these guys because we can beat them. We probably have no business beating them, but we can beat them if we play like we're capable of playing. And we've seen that. It all depends on who's
pound
which
that
team's
desk some more. You got it. Ted?
That's what I got.
So you remember the Vikings-Rams game a couple years ago? I think it was Kirk's first year. It was like this big 38-31 or 31-28 shootout. It was like a Thursday night game. You know what I'm talking about?
2,700 yards of off passing and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the Vikings had they'd been struggling and they ended up losing the game. So maybe this is a bad example. But I think this is a game where the Vikings come out and they start fast and they go toe-to-toe with the Bucs offense and they figure out a way to win at the end of the game. The defense is hurting. Kind of goes back to my Patton quote. The Germans haven't launched an offensive in the winter since Frederick the Great, so I think that's just exactly what they're going to do. I don't know how. I can't explain it. Vikings are battered up on defense. Eric Kendricks isn't going to play. Kyle Rudolph isn't going to play on offense. They're going to figure it out. I don't know how, don't know why, but they're going to come out on top like 34-31. It's going to be a wild game.
Maybe the special teams actually steps up and doesn't screw up.
They absolutely will not.
Mm-hmm. Drew?
They will not.
Yeah.
Last words?
Wake up, Drew.
The Vikings need this. 0 turnovers. 5 penalties or less. Ooh. I don't see anybody writing down this valid information I'm giving. At least act like you're writing it. 0 turnovers. 5 penalties or less. 32 minutes of time of possession. And that's key because the more possession time, the less Tom Brady. And Bailey needs to hit all of his kicks, which means a game winner. The Vikings need a clean game. Sure, they can beat them, and sure, we're beat up on defense. Tampa Bay is going to get their points, but the longer the game is close, the more we're in their head, the more we're in Arians' head and Brady's. So they just can't go into a meltdown, play a clean game. If you're down 20-17 in the third quarter, that's not a loss. That's good enough for me. You're within striking distance. The Vikings just got to clean it up. If they play with the mistakes they've been playing with the last 3 weeks, it'll be over by halftime.
Yes, 100% agree.
Yeah.
Tagline?
What?
Your tagline.
Oh.
Meow, meow.
Meow, meow, Viking. Yeah, no doubt. No, I got it. Wait, I got one more thing. December 11th, 2020, Ted agreed with Dave twice in this show.
With all that, everybody.
Now, Viking. Whoa! Whoa! Come on!
It's Vlogmas Day 11. We've had 11 live shows in a row. Vlogmas Day 12 tomorrow. We'll have another one. It's a special one.
Somebody tell me, what is a Vlogmas?
It is live shows done
Sounds
every
like a
day of the
STD.
month of December. Tomorrow is GMG with friends, and we have a special friend that everybody on this show absolutely loves. It's going to be me.
Who's the special friend?
Who do you all love? Sarcasm.
Mila Kunis?
Santa Claus.
Mila Kunis?
Now, it'll be me interviewing Matthew Collar and his new book about the 2017 season and how well the Vikings did that year and got all the way to the NFC Championship before they got their asses waxed.
When are you going to interview Courtney Cronin? Come on.
Working on that.
Yeah, we need to get Courtney on the show.
Working
She
on
goes
that.
on
Working
Purple
on
Daily.
that.
She can come over here and talk to us for an hour.
But with that,
There we go.
come join us. We'll be live
Reggie!
tomorrow morning,
Reggie!
noon Central. So, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy the season as much as you can. And as always, Skol! Go Vikings!
Ho ho skull.
Thank you for watching or listening. As always, if you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate us on your favorite aggregator. Skol, everybody.